Karl Marx, a philosophical analysis of his key ideas. Karl Marx stands as one of the most influential figures in modern philosophy, economics, and political theory. His ideas are foundational in understanding modern critiques of capitalism, class struggle, and social revolution. To fully grasp Marx's significance, it is essential to define his core ideas, trace their development, and analyze how they interrelate. Additionally, exploring the implications of these ideas both in Marx's own time and today reveals their enduring relevance. 1. Historical materialism. Historical materialism is the cornerstone of Marx's philosophy. It posits that material conditions, specifically the mode of production, determine the structure of society, its laws, politics, and ideologies. Unlike idealism, which emphasizes ideas and consciousness as driving historical progress, Marx argues that history is shaped by material forces, the ways people produce and reproduce their material lives. Development and context. Marx built on Hegel's dialectical method, which sees history as the unfolding of contradictions, but Marx gave it a materialist twist. For Hegel, the dialectic was a process of thought development. For Marx, it was the result of real-world conflicts between economic classes. Marx's concept of history rejects the idea that ideas drive societal change, instead placing the focus on labor, production, and economic relations. Relationship to other ideas. Historical materialism ties directly to Marx's other core concepts, particularly class struggle and alienation. The mode of production creates different classes with antagonistic interests, and this conflict drives historical change. Ideologies, such as religion or nationalism, arise as reflections of these material conditions, but they serve to obscure the reality of class struggle. Significance. In Marx's time, this materialist conception of history represented a radical departure from both utopian socialism and idealist philosophy. Today, it remains a critical tool for understanding societal changes, whether in the analysis of global capitalism, technological shifts, or environmental crises, by examining how economic structures shape cultural and political realities. 2. Class struggle. Class struggle is central to Marx's analysis of history and society. According to Marx, all historical societies have been marked by class divisions: slave and master, lord and serf, bourgeoisie and proletariat, and the dynamics of these relationships lead to social conflict and transformation. Development and context. Marx was influenced by the French Revolution and other historical upheavals, which showed him how social classes can overthrow the ruling class when their interests clash irreconcilably. Marx saw capitalism as the latest stage in this historical progression, with the bourgeoisie, owners of capital, exploiting the proletariat working class. Relationship to other ideas. Class struggle is the engine of historical materialism. As societies evolve, new modes of production give rise to new class relations. In capitalism, this manifests as the struggle between capitalists, who own the means of production, and workers, who sell their labor. This conflict, according to Marx, is inherently antagonistic and will eventually lead to the overthrow of capitalism, just as feudalism was overthrown by the bourgeoisie. Significance. For Marx, the significance of class struggle lay in its revolutionary potential. The proletariat, as the exploited class, has the potential to become the gravediggers of capitalism, leading to a classless, communist society. In modern times, class struggle remains relevant as the gap between rich and poor widens globally, and labor movements continue to challenge the dominance of corporate power. 3. Alienation. Alienation is a concept Marx used to describe the estrangement workers feel under capitalist conditions. In capitalist production, workers are alienated from the products of their labor, the labor process, their fellow workers, and their own human potential. This alienation arises because the workers' labor becomes a commodity, something bought and sold, rather than an expression of their creativity and human essence. Development and context. Marx developed the concept of alienation in his early work, particularly in the economic and philosophic manuscripts of 1844. He borrowed the term from Hegel, but radically transformed it. While Hegel saw alienation as a condition of the human spirit, Marx grounded it in material labor and economic conditions. The Industrial Revolution, with its brutal working conditions and factory labor, provided Marx with concrete examples of how workers became mere appendages to machines, stripped of agency and self-determination. Relationship to other ideas. Alienation is directly tied to Marx's critique of capitalism. The capitalist system, by reducing labor to a commodity, inherently alienates workers from their labor. This alienation reinforces class struggle, as the proletariat becomes aware of its exploitation. Alienation also contrasts with Marx's vision of a communist society, where labor would be fulfilling, creative, and directly tied to individual and collective well-being. Significance. Marx's theory of alienation resonates today in discussions about the dehumanizing effects of modern work, from monotonous factory jobs to the alienation many feel in office environments. In the gig economy, where workers have little control over their labor conditions, alienation remains a powerful critique of capitalist labor practices. 4. Surplus value and exploitation. One of Marx's most critical economic insights is his theory of surplus value, which explains how capitalists extract profit from workers. Surplus value is the difference between the value produced by workers and the wages they are paid. Workers create more value than they receive in wages, and this surplus is appropriated by the capitalist as profit. Development and context. Marx developed his theory of surplus value in Das Kapital, his seminal analysis of capitalist economics. He drew on classical economics, particularly the labor theory of value, which holds that the value of a commodity is determined by the amount of socially necessary labor time required to produce it. However, Marx went beyond classical economists by showing how the capitalist system depends on the exploitation of labor. Relationship to other ideas. Surplus value is directly linked to Marx's broader critique of capitalism. It explains the mechanics of class struggle. The capitalist must continuously exploit the worker to generate profit, which deepens class antagonism. Moreover, the need to extract ever greater surplus value drives capitalists to increase labor productivity, often at the expense of workers' well-being, further intensifying alienation. Significance. The concept of surplus value has profound implications for understanding contemporary economic inequality. In modern times, Marx's analysis of how capital accumulates through labor exploitation can be applied to globalized production systems, where multinational corporations extract surplus value from workers in developing countries while benefiting from low wages and lax labor laws. 5. Communism and the abolition of private property. Marx's ultimate vision was a communist society, which he saw as the culmination of the historical development of class struggle. In communism, private property, the ownership of the means of production by a minority class, would be abolished, and the means of production would be collectively owned. This would eliminate class divisions and the exploitation of labor, allowing for the free development of all individuals. Development and context. Marx's vision of communism was shaped by earlier socialist thought, but he rejected the utopian socialism of thinkers like Charles Fourier and Robert Owen. Instead, he saw communism as a scientific necessity, emerging from the contradictions of capitalism. Marx's revolutionary call in the Communist Manifesto, "Workers of the world, unite," reflected his belief that only through collective action could the proletariat overthrow the capitalist system. Relationship to other ideas. Communism is the endpoint of Marx's analysis of history, class struggle, and alienation. It represents the resolution of the contradictions inherent in capitalism, the end of exploitation, the dissolution of alienation, and the achievement of human freedom. In a communist society, labor would no longer be a source of alienation, but a creative and fulfilling activity. Significance. While Marx's vision of communism has been distorted and misused by various regimes in the 20th century, the idea of a classless society free from exploitation continues to inspire many contemporary movements. From debates over wealth redistribution to calls for universal basic income, Marx's critique of capitalism and his vision of a more just society remain relevant today. Conclusion. The relevance of Marx's ideas in the 21st century. Marx's philosophical and economic theories offer a profound critique of the capitalist system that remains relevant in the 21st century. His concepts, historical materialism, class struggle, alienation, surplus value, and communism, are interconnected elements of a broader analysis of how society develops and how exploitation is inherent to capitalism. While Marx's revolutionary vision has yet to materialize in the way he predicted, His critique of capitalism continues to inform debates about inequality, labor rights, and the future of work. Today, as we face unprecedented economic challenges, from automation and precarious labor to climate change, Marx's ideas serve as a powerful framework for understanding and challenging the systems that shape our world.